Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros. Today we're going to be getting into some interesting developments with XRP, with Tether, and Venezuela. We'll be getting into also how the SEC of the Philippines is taking actions against one of the world's most favorite crypto exchanges. We'll be taking a look at all of that and more here on the Investing Bros. If you get a little bit of value out of this video, I would encourage you to go ahead and subscribe and also smash the like button. It really helps us out here at the channel of Investing Bros. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go ahead and start the day off with a little bit of a peek at the crypto bubbles. We absolutely love this website because it gives us a great visualization of what the markets are doing at any given time. You can look at it on the daily chart. You can look at it out on the weekly. On the weekly, very, very green. Here on the monthly, still haven't seen a full recovery from the majority of the top 100 coins here. You can even change it to 200, 230, and different things like that. That's cryptobubbles.net. But on the day, we are pretty much mixed, maybe leaning red. Toncoin down almost 7% here. Ordi down just under 6% here. Maker down 4. Beam down 4. And then we have some shining stars here near getting a bid to the upside, 3.4. 4.5 to the upside for Cass, and Pepe up 9%, leading the mark. Wait, what is this? AKT up 40%. Of course, this baby's cooking. This is Akash Network. Between Akash and Core, I think Core is down today. I don't see it. But between Akash and Core, there's always a big green bubble that never seems to leave. And that's crypto for you. We'll go ahead and we'll jump into the charts, but before we do, let's read from some of the bros that are making this possible. Of course, you watch, we continue to record. GM Bros said, Mike Play, Museum of Corruption. I'm sure he's already smashed the like button. Throw in that sun emoji in there because it is the morning. It is the morning time here in Florida, and it may be the morning time wherever you are up on the East Coast of these United States. Blackie Chan saying, good morning, bros, and Ada Ace saying, the truest of all, hit the like button. We gotta love it. Good morning, everyone. Need to get my coffee. B-Ball Golf said, I've got my flurry here of caffeine and LaCroix. It's what I drink to juice up and to fuel myself for the day and also stay hydrated. I do like coffee, but it tends to dry me out a little bit. I like to have a little bit of LaCroix and some energy drink. So just for the record, for those of you who are worried about my heart, my cardiac health with all the energy drinks, I'm only drinking about a third of an energy drink per day. So I think it's a pretty healthy. Do sometimes I drink the half of it? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes I do. Let's jump on over to the crypto chart and see what we can't pull out from the charts. I'm going to start off here on the 4-hour with some simple Bollinger Band analysis. So one thing that we'll notice right off the bat is that we were unable to get a print above the midline of the Bollinger Bands all the way through Thursday, April 18th of this year, and then everything changed. But all through here, you'll notice just a vapid, vacant space, right? Nothing going on here above the midline of the Bollinger Band. Well, now you can say that about the downside of the Bollinger Band, right? There's just nothing going on down here, right? So what does that indicate to us? It indicates us, at least on the 4-hour, that the bulls are in control of that 20-day moving average, right? So we've seen a test here back on the April 19th, a test here on April 21st, and we're looking like we may see a test back to the downside of back down to 65,006 potentially if we had an immediate drop right now to the midline of the Bollinger Band, which you must say traders in the market are expecting a touch back to the midline, right? Not rocket science. However, the continued higher lows are going ahead and giving a lot of confidence to bulls because those higher lows are signaling more and more, the higher we go, that this bottom here is likely the bottom, right, for this pullback. This pullback that we've seen to the downside has likely concluded in levels only getting down as low as 59.6, right? And then slightly lower, that wick was 59.57, right? So overall, I'm seeing a lot of bullishness. Now, if we throw on this chart, this range chart that Army Piper, I believe, was the first to bring to my attention. We do see that we have a nice midline here that is created from this downtrending line of resistance and this downtrending line of support. So as you can see, and this is a little bit off. There we go. All right, that's a little more accurate. But as you can see, we have not played too much with that midline. We came back here on April 15th and tagged it and failed to get the full candle printing above it, which kind of does. I mean, this isn't a huge deal, guys. I'm just kind of pointing out some things I'm noticing. We also rejected off the midline of the Bollinger Band back here on the same day and made a move lower, and that would result ultimately in the momentum to the downside that got us our, hopefully our bottom here. Now, on the swing back up, we are now printing multiple candlesticks on the 4-hour above this midline, right? Which right now, that midline printing right around 65,700, pretty close to being in line with that midline of the Bollinger Band. Okay. Let's go to the Lux Algo Oscillator Matrix. You all know we love our Lux Algo here. And boy, oh boy, look at the money flow here. Very green and very positive. And we're getting higher lows here on the hyperwave as well. So bring me a higher low, baby. I love it. We're seeing some higher lows here on the hyperwave, and although we are currently in a red movement to the downside, a little bit of a reprieve, if you will, a bit of a correction in this bull trend to the upside, we have also gotten a red reversal up top. But we've gotten one here, and we got one here. Let's look at the first time we got this red reversal from the Lux Algo Oscillator Matrix. We did see downside movement, right? But it wasn't a full-on reversal in the sense that we came back and put in new lows down to the downside, right? So this other reversal dot, which you may not be able to see because it's very small, but it predicted it right here, and eventually we did come back and print back to the midline. So my expectation here is that we will see in the next probably 4 hours of trading, maybe 8 hours of trading, a bit of a move to the downside to come back and test this midline of the Bollinger Band. From there, though, you saw an immediate resumption to the upside here. We did not get a print on the midline. We just had a wick, right? So it's a very quick buy up is what I would expect. But are we going higher or are we going lower for Bitcoin in the macro? And of course, when we're asking that type of a question, the assumption is that we're looking a little bit more zoomed out. Are we going to go hit new all-time highs, or are we going to come back and challenge these lows? Well, I've got the daily chart here pulled up, and what you'll notice that smack dab in the middle is this line that I have drawn, this 64,800 line, right? And this has been pretty key. We've got our first candlestick. Man, it is small. Let me zoom in a little more. We got our first candlestick here that printed just above it, and that would have been our April 21st. April 21st, this was a Sunday, the first candlestick that printed above it after our test to the downside. And that is bullish, right? And so the market saw that and was like, all right, let's send it, baby. Let's get back up above the midline of the Bollinger Band. And we are getting close to printing an entire candle above it. We have had one candle partially print above it. Now we're just waiting on the second candle to figure out what it wants to do. But there's two good newses here. Two very good newses. The first good news is that we are printing above this midline of this downtrending channel that we are ranging in, that Bitcoin's price is ranging in, putting in these high, low, and now kind of diddling in the middle, right? This is a trader's dream, right? Now, what you would have loved to do is get a position down in here, right? But when we're in a channel, price action is more predictable than if we're in a price discovery that we've been in for quite some time, right? We've been in this move higher in this price discovery phase, and it's a little bit more difficult to trade because you could be very, very bullish one week, and then all of a sudden you turn around and there's a huge pullback the next week, right? So your trading strategy week to week has to be very nimble. Whereas, as you can see, it's a little bit more predictable in here. Yeah, of course, there's some crazy fake outs. One day candlestick down 3 or 4%, whatever this is, and then the next day it's right back up. But ultimately, now that we're in a range, what traders are hoping for is that we continue this range out for a while, right? And that it's not just going to be resigned to this one moment in time, but that will trade through April, maybe even May in this range. So that traders can just come in, scoop up and buy low in the bottom 6 of this range, and then sell it higher in the top 6 of this range. So if you're getting interested in trading, you're thinking about maybe you could be a day trader, this is not a bad time to try to take some low leverage trades and test your skills in the charts. One way that you can do that is by using LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo, we have a link to it in the description of this very video that you're watching. You can go ahead and get access to that and discounts, and you'll also, with that, you will get access to the trading channel on our Discord here at Investing Bros. So you have everything to gain and nothing to lose by going over and getting LuxAlgo. There is also a money back guarantee if you are not satisfied with the indicator. Now you're like, well, T-Shroom, tell me a little bit more about this LuxAlgo. Well, I absolutely will. Let me clear off some of these indicators here, and let's take another look. Let's take a look at some of the other indicators from LuxAlgo here on the daily chart. We've got the oscillator matrix, and this is why it's not clicking, because I still got the pen. There we go. Look at these little guys. Okay, we're having fun here. There we go. Bye. Awesome. So what do we see here? We've had lower lows here to date on the daily chart. So a lower low here, got a higher low, but then a lower low. Now we're seeing a resumption to the upside and money flow becoming green. We really would like to see a higher high here because there's been generally a downtrending line here that you could draw in the hyperwave, and this is just a measure of momentum. So overall, this is telling me that we are currently making a good move on the daily time frame, but it could be better, and we really would like to see a push higher and then a test of the new support. So this correlates with the price action that we're seeing. It's like generally we're in a downtrend, right? What I showed you, this is a downtrending channel. It is down, right? I'm about to show you something in a second that's going to blow your mind if you're pretty new to technical analysis. But what could happen here very easily is that we fail to put in a higher high here, and that we reject off of. Let me just go ahead and draw it because some of you guys aren't tracking probably. We reject off of this, and the hyperwave comes back down. And it's not the hyperwave that's moving. The hyperwave is a measurement of momentum of the overall price of Bitcoin, right? But this could be what ends up happening is rejected, and we go lower. And then the question is, how low are we going? And I think we'll probably get that answer fairly quickly. But right now, the answer is not how low are we going. The answer is, can we get back up above this downtrending line of resistance on the hyperwave and move higher? And the money flow is trying to scream yes, but it is so small. Its voice is very tiny. But we are getting a nice reversal green dot here to show a little bit of bullishness moving into this move. But I'd say overall the biggest bullish indication that I'm seeing here that's giving me quite a bit of hope that we are going to go ahead and move higher. Maybe not break out of this channel quite yet, but that we will come up and test the highs here of this channel, is that we have printed an entire candlestick above the midline, throwing the midline of the Bollinger Band back up. We are giving it a good go here of trying to get back and print above the midline of the Bollinger Band. You saw that when we got up back above it here back in April 4th, early April, we were able to print an entire candlestick above that midline, and that gave the market the confidence to go ahead and push higher and test higher. Now, ultimately, there was a rejection there, right? But that is important. It is important to get that. If you get it too early, like we got back here, and you lose momentum because you used all of your gas, all your liquidity in the market to go ahead and get just through the midline, and then you don't even get up and test the highs. Whereas here, obviously, we did, or at least we wicked up to them. So now, we'll see just how much gas there is in this movement higher. But again, this is a trader's paradise where you can kind of predict the ranges, you can set nice stop losses, you can get in, you can get out, and hopefully you can get a little bit of profit during this range-bound moment for Bitcoin. Now we're asking the larger macro question, but where are we going though, T-Shroom? Are we going to go up to 75,000, put in a new all-time high, and then be on our way to 80, 85, 90, 95, 100? And how are we going to get to those $150,000 Bitcoin price predictions from major banks and other brilliant analysts if we don't break out of this channel? Well, we have to. We do have to break out of this channel at some point. We can continue to trend down and down and down and down, and really that won't get us too far because this is such a slight slope to the downside. But one thing that you may not know is that this pattern that's being made is actually one that can break out to the upside quite predictably. And what you can do is you can draw a line all the way back to the last point where there was major consolidation, and you can actually draw a line of where this could potentially break out to based on this movement. And that would bring us to 90,000 exactly, which is kind of cool. So 90,000 would be the breakout point for this. And yes, you draw the line from the midline of the consolidation, and then you draw it up to the top of the channel, and then you take the line and you put that at the bottom of the channel, and then you get your price prediction here. If you do it up here, right, some people might, and then you get it at 100,000 too, basically 100,000. But that's not where I like to put it. I like to put it here. This seems to be more correct based on what kind of the theory that I've read on technical analysis. So if that blew your mind, go ahead and smash the like button, because the first time that I saw something like that, it definitely blew my mind, and I was very appreciative to know that you can even do something like that, right? So it's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, technical analysis is a lot of fun, and it's one of the main things that we focus on here in the Investing Bros. Go ahead and smash that like if you're getting some value. Well, it's not just the charts that we focus on here. It's also the news. But before I get into the news, I really want to show you guys the big fib, right? And that is Fibonacci. So one last thing here. Bear with me. You guys have done so well keeping your attention here fixed to the charts. We want to see where Bitcoin's going, right? Well, right now it's kind of stuck in between this line, this 64,800 line, which goes back to the Bitcoin highs from 2021, or one of the wick highs that I found significant, and then also this platinum pocket, right? We did not come down and test the golden pocket, which you could make an argument this is probably the most bearish indicator, is that we did not come down and touch the 58.3 level, the 58.4 you could call it, and there's still daylight in between these wicks that we printed just a couple days ago and the golden pocket, and then we really should have gone down and printed at least rejecting off of that and moving back higher, kind of confirming that as support. So that would be the argument, in my opinion, one of the stronger arguments from a Fibonacci standpoint, that we could go lower from here, that we have not gone low enough in price discovery, and that we will go back and test these levels. I think it's still in the cards, but right now there is obviously a lot of wind behind the sails of Bitcoin, and the market is not so concerned with how low could we go in a downside price discovery. We just had that. Now the market is, okay, we took our profits up here, let's redeploy them and see how much buy-side appetite, how much demand there is for Bitcoin. And so that is what is being played out on the charts this morning. Now here's the level that is important to get up above, and I don't know that we'll get to see this today. Probably going to be a rest of the week type of thing, but you do see that the beginning of the platinum pocket here does start at 67,364. So we'd really like to see a print above the midline of the Bollinger Band on the daily, and then above the beginning of the platinum pocket. So that is going to be the majority of the TA, but it's not it. I have one more thing I want to show you all. Let me turn off the big fib, right? And let me throw on the monthly chart. You all know that I love the monthly chart. So we talked about this 64,800 level, okay? This coincides with this wick high back from April 1st, 2021, okay? So far, in April, the April that we're in, don't get them confused, the April candle that we're in, all of these candles represent 1 month of trading data because we're on the monthly chart, right? Whereas if I go down to the daily chart, each candlestick represents 24 hours of trading data, 1 day of trading data, back to a month. We are very close to the end of the month, just a couple days, a week and some change, right? And then we will get a candle body close above what I deem to be a pretty significant level, because this would tell the market, this would tell investors that, hey, this asset just found support here at the previous bull market highs. After making an all-time high, it came down and confirmed those levels as support. Now, it wasn't able to confirm this level here, 67,200, and the previous all-time high of 69,000, right? But that's okay, right? We got the third best thing, which is 64.8, right? So again, watching. Now, you may not zoom out to the monthly candles all that often, but I do, and I love it. Getting a close, and what I mean by that is that the solid part of this candlestick closes. This would be on the red candle. The top part of the solid bit is the open. The bottom part is the close. And then on the green candles, it's the opposite. The bottom part is going to be your open. The top part is the close because it's green, so therefore it closed higher than the open. I think you see what I'm saying here. But I'm giving a little bit more information there about the candlesticks forward. The noobs, hopefully they appreciate it. A candle body close above 64.8 is bullish and likely a signal to the rest of the market, hey, this asset is ready to go higher. And by the way, we like to look at Bollinger Bands, but there's been a lot of bearishness in the market, a lot of people being scared, being like, wait, what the heck? I'm very frightened. Bitcoin, should I sell? Is it going lower? Guys, we're still printing candles on the outside of the top line of the Bollinger Band. That is so bullish. That is so incredibly, incredibly bullish, right? Just to give you guys a comparison. So this is Bitcoin. If we go to Tesla, right? Look where Tesla is compared to the top line of the Bollinger Band. First of all, you'll notice the Bollinger Band is pointing downward, right? Meaning that Tesla is trending on the monthly chart generally to the downside. Nowhere near printing candles up above the top line of the Bollinger Band as it was back here, right? Let's look at Nvidia, because Nvidia would be an example of one that is printing outside of the top line of the Bollinger Band, right? But now it is actually less bullish than Bitcoin. Check it out. Let's take a look at a company like Google. Google, bullish, right? But not so bullish that it's trading outside of that upper band of the Bollinger Band. So again, these are the monthly charts. Let's take a look at a bank. Let's look at JP Morgan. So similar, very bullish, but now coming back, trading like Nvidia, goodness. But now coming back inside the Bollinger Bands. I didn't realize that the banks were even capable of doing something like this. So Schwab, you kind of get the idea. Let's go ahead and jump on into the news. But before we do, let's see what's crack-a-lacking in the chat. Dylan Martinez said, tell me that chart doesn't look bearish. Ha ha ha, it does. Wait, what chart? Tesla? I'm not sure which one you're talking about, so I can't comment. But absolutely, go ahead and become a bro and subscribe today. Thank you so much, Crux. I know Crux is the one behind the scenes there posting from the Investing Bros channel. We love to see it. Crypto Zero said, win 50K Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know that we'll get a 50K Bitcoin. We'll see. We're going to find out in the news here that they're trying to throw everything they can at Bitcoin to try to bring the price lower. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and jump on into the news, brought to you by who we trust, which is iTrust Capital, where you can buy and sell crypto, gold, and silver within your IRA. You can invest 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it is all way, way lower taxes that you'll be paying than if you were to just trade crypto in a brokerage account. Essentially, any kind of capital gains that you have within an IRA is not taxed at the capital gains rate. It's taxed at your income rate when you retire or whenever you decide to take it out. All right, guys, let's get into the news here. Ripple says 10 million penalty, enough. Rejects SEC's ask for basically $2 billion fine in the final judgment. Let's go ahead and check out this article here. This is really fascinating. This is the latest for XRP. The court should deny the SEC's request for an injunction for disgorgement and for prejudgment interest and should impose a civil penalty of no more than $10 million, the filing said. This, of course, was what we were waiting for yesterday. This is Ripple Labs, contest of the SEC's request for $2 billion, right? So the SEC, the Ripple Labs is coming back and saying, nah, what about 10 million? So now it's going to be up to the courts to decide, is it going to be one of those numbers or somewhere in between? The SEC's remedial requests are more evidence of the administrative overreach and has beset this case. That has beset this case. Ripple's lawyers wrote. The agency acts as though it has prevailed entirely and had proved reckless conduct. It has done neither. The agency also seeks disgorgement barred by controlling Supreme Court and circuit precedent and a separate penalty that exceeds by more than 20 times what it has obtained from any other defendant or respondent in a digital asset case. So, this is a pretty good argument here from Ripple Labs, and likely the courts, in my opinion, who knows? Who knows how it could actually go? But, when I'm reading that, if I'm the judge, I'm giving it to Ripple. I'm saying, man, these guys, the SEC, they just had 2 people put behind bars, which is our next story. I think I'm going to go ahead and rule in favor of Ripple Labs. Of course, that's not how the judicial system works, but that might be a consideration on the mind of the judge there in this Ripple v. SEC saga case. Now, really only addressing the institutional side. 2 SEC lawyers resigned following the debt box sanction fiasco. This reported information is from Bloomberg, and we have 2 names, I believe. Michael Welsh, a former lead attorney on the debt box case, and Joseph Watkins, an investigative attorney whose declaration served as the foundation for the SEC's case against debt box. They were reportedly forced to step down or else be terminated, according to the report, which cited people familiar with the situation. So this is a little bit more details about what news we broke yesterday on the 3 p.m. show. It's interesting. It's not going to affect your portfolio other than just generally it's bullish, right? Because it's proving yet again that the SEC sucks. More details here. The agency also moved to dismiss the case without prejudice, meaning they would retain the ability to refile the case against Debtbox, but Shelby denied the motion, arguing that his court had not had occasion to evaluate the underlying merits of the action. Very, very fascinating. So it looks like the show goes on for Debtbox. Unfortunately, they're going to be continuing to be in court against the SEC, but they've had a bit of a win because the I assume, the prosecuting attorneys of the SEC have now been asked to resign, not just exit the trial, but resign from the institution that they were hired to prosecute for. So it's pretty wild. We'll see just how this gross abuse of power will really be treated by the media, by the markets, and by the SEC. Could they potentially take this one all the way to the top? Say, hey, Gary, these lawyers that just represented us in the debt box case, they made us look crazy. You're out of here. You're the head that's going to roll. Nah, I wouldn't hold your breath, but that could be an outcome that we see here. Venezuela looks to Tether to bypass sanctions. As we wrap up the show here, it's pretty much what you think. Venezuela's state-owned oil company, PDVSA, is looking to Tether as a means to bypass new sanctions placed on it by the United States, Reuters reported. Now, of course, sanctions extremely controversial, headed into an election season, post the sanctions on Russia that really kind of set the world in this spiral that has resulted in the huge rise of the BRICS nation narrative, which I think has a little more bark than bite personally. But seeing more sanctions and cryptocurrency potentially being the solution to those U.S. sanctions does continue to pit cryptocurrency against the U.S. in a way that doesn't sit super well with me. I'm not going to take Venezuela's side on this, right? They're not a regime that I'm sitting here rooting for. So this story is not so cut and dry, right? I'm not sitting here saying, oh, yay, cryptocurrency being used for something against the U.S. government. Look, the U.S. government, not perfect, right? But they have those sanctions on Venezuela for a reason. I wish that there could be other tools used to project the power and the influence that the U.S. wishes to project other than sanctions. I might even recede into my more libertarian mindset and say, why are we even trying to intervene in Venezuela? Well, there are some pretty good reasons to do so. Not going to get into that history and that importance. But overall, Tether is looking, and technology in general, marches on, right? And just because you have a tool like sanctions doesn't mean that countries and other sovereigns aren't going to be able to obfuscate those sanctions. So we'll be watching that not very closely because we'll see. I mean, I think the worst thing that can happen here, the most volatile outcome, is that Tether gets some kind of sanction itself or some kind of regulatory action for trying to aid a sanctioned country, Venezuela. That could be bad, but we'll see. The Filipino SEC versus Binance app removal showdown. The Philippines SEC, so it's not the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States, but it's the equivalent for the Philippines, has directed Apple and Google to remove Binance-controlled applicants from their app store due to regulatory non-compliance issues, as communicated in separate letters dated April 19th. This move has sparked discussions about the crypto community and various news outlets highlighting the SEC's efforts to address regulatory challenges in the Philippines. So a big loss for Binance if this is to move forward, and we don't want this to be normalized for Google and Apple, because at the end of the day, they do hold a big key to the gate of adoption for cryptocurrency. Apple and Google, obviously, they host the web stores in order for people to get apps like Binance and Coinbase and Gemini and Robinhood and everything else, MetaMask, right? To be able to buy and sell cryptocurrency, an on-ramp into the crypto world, your wealth, your funds. So we don't want Apple and Google getting too comfy with this process, but perhaps the Philippines is suffering in some way. I doubt it. I think that they just don't like that money is leaving their system. But hey, that's how freedom works. So we'll see how that one pans out. Again, I think that this has somewhat of a limited impact on crypto. I wouldn't expect too much movement to the upside or the downside from this, because after all, the Philippines is a very small market compared to the rest of the world that seems to be going on business as usual, especially the United States, Europe, and the rising giant Hong Kong, which is a bullish movement that should be going and reaching its full crescendo here at the end of the month of April as those ETFs in Hong Kong come online. And the world starts to get some data on just how much inflows we are likely to see into that region. And if Chinese mainlanders can be proven to obfuscate the limitations that they have from the CCP, because the news has come out that mainlanders of China, which is the vast majority of the Chinese, won't be able to invest in those Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETFs. So we'll see. We'll see how the money ends up flowing and if the CCP is able to keep the money out of Bitcoin. We'll end this video here, this live stream broadcast, with this cool video from RFK. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen.
I'm going to put the entire U.S. budget on blockchain so that every American can look at every budget item in the entire budget anytime they want, 24 hours a day. We're going to have 300 million eyeballs on our budget. And if somebody is spending $16,000 for a toilet seat, everybody's going to know about it.
So there you go. I don't know how much of that you could hear, but basically, I mean, the caption says it pretty well. Presidential candidate RFK Jr., running as independent, says he will put the entire U.S. budget on blockchain if elected in 2024. Of course, he also said he was going to put it all on Cardano. Just kidding. We don't know what blockchain he would be referring to there. I'm sure he has one in mind. Now with ordinals, and the layer 2s that are emerging on Bitcoin, it could potentially be Bitcoin. So we'll see. But overall, obviously, vastly, I can't be any more in favor of putting the entire U.S. budget on blockchain. Of course, there's probably some operations that may be against American interests to be disclosing the extent to which they are funded. However, I would say that in general, this is an extremely good idea, especially for things like, campaign expenses and education versus prison expenses at the federal level, all of these types of things, the transparency of which would only be a benefit to society and to the world, really, to know what the United States is spending their money on. Of course, when you get into more of the special operations for the military and maybe even some police funding, then it becomes you have a little bit more of an argument for those things not being public. But I would say, maybe it's time to move into an era where we challenge that belief. Right. That's probably where I'll ride the fence. You got to love it here on the Investing Bros. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you all today's chart gazing and a bit of news. I will say not a lot of news that's going to be rocking the markets too much coming out today, but some things that are, causing a little bit of speculation. So definitely very interesting. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be going live, me and Tim, going much deeper into the charts. Thank you so much for watching, for listening. If you're trading today, keep those stop losses tight, and if you're human, do me a favor and stay hydrated.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.